Hello.
Hello, you there?
Yes, hi.
sir.
Hi.
Yes, yes. Hi. Hi. You can hear me, right? Yeah. Okay. Just a quick recap. Yesterday, what we was doing. We were actually talking about analytical view.
Yes.
Yeah. So you have the server access connections, or still you're not having, all of you are not having, right? Only Aruna is having yesterday.
Right. I think the direct, they give the same user and ID and password to me as well. So it seems like one of us or two people could log into the same machine. It's kicking one of us out.
Yes, one person can connect at a time, but now that server is not available. I think it is not active right now because it's not connecting. It says it's not available. And connect, network not available.
Yeah. Okay. Should I call him right now and tell him that this is already late and we
I tried a
need
couple
it?
of times, not continuously. I tried to connect in the afternoon from my office. When I was in the office, it did not connect. I have been trying to connect in a couple of times this evening, but it did not connect. This network not available. Wait a minute, Alex. When I try to connect it, it says.
Let me just call the main person that I know.
Now, just give me a minute. Just bear with me, sir. I think it is
How about
connected.
the other? Okay. How about the server access to the others?
I don't
Let me
know.
check now.
Yeah, that is also something that we have to be serious about it, because you require server access. It cannot be that much late.
Oh, it's connected now. It wasn't connecting. It was saying network not available.
I'll be calling the organizer just now. Let me see what he can say.
Still not connecting. It is. It says please wait for user profile service. It's still not connecting.
Yeah, the server was busy for me too.
Okay. Okay, then let's see for today, and maybe we take a break one day or something off today's class too, until we get the server access, something like that. I have to do with the
Actually, I was
time.
going to send an email, but then I thought maybe, I mean, it's not fair to the other students also. If they don't, if they want to have a class, I cannot just say that.
Yeah, right. Right, okay. Okay, so let us just, see how analytical view works. I think we were seeing yesterday sort of how to create this. Is the screen is visible, nice, or not so well?
Loading.
Okay.
I can see.
Can you see the? Can you see the the tables here, names? Is it visible?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Just a quick recap before I get into the analytical view. Yesterday we were only talking about the creation of the analytical view. We still did not talk about. I think we spoke about restricted columns and calculated columns also. Let me just recap that. First of all, we have 3 nodes in analytical view: data foundation node, star join node, and semantics node. These 3 nodes are fixed always. It cannot be changed. And then in attribute view, only 2 nodes. In analytical view, 3 nodes. But things will change in calculation view. That's what it is. So right now we are just in the analytical view. So in the data foundation, what we do is we actually try to load all our transaction tables in data foundation. The idea is to create fact table. So to create the fact table, we try to see based on the requirement, we try to load 1, 2, 3 tables. So even 1 table is also enough to make it as a fact table. If there are more than 1, we have to find a way to bring joins, to make them together and make it single view by joining them. So that's what we do in data foundation. So we can do here vertical chopping and horizontal chopping. What I mean is we can actually remove the columns that are unnecessary for us, or rather we only take the columns that we want to be in this star join, to be in the fact table. So you know how to do that. These are the balls that will help us to. If you click this ball, if you go into the output, which is here, you have always this scenario pane. If you click this data foundation, the details of the data foundation. If you click this star join, this is the details of the star join. If you click this, so this pane, the next pane follows this. So right now I'm in the data foundation. It shows the details. So correspondingly, the details here you have the output, which is always 1 node output will be going to the upper node. It's like this always. We try to design from bottom up. So the final node is going to be semantics where we end the view. So here we know how to do this. We learned this yesterday, and what we have to learn is here in the star join, the fact table is coming up from the lower node, which is this. You have the fact table this, and here it is a star join, which means we are actually making a star schema here. For that we require dimensions. The dimensions are the attribute views that we have created. So what we do is we just drag and drop this, like this. We drag and drop here, or we can actually do the same way here. So again, how do we know that which are the dimensions that we want? Again, that is requirement. We have to know what we want to do that, what kind of star schema, what kind of cube that we are targeting to make it. So based on that, this is the second step. We have seen all this, and now what we want to see is we want to see this. These are the things. The first thing is calculated column, and then the second thing is restricted column. We spoke about it. Do you remember the difference between calculated column and restricted column? Calculated column is something that we try to derive a new column from the existing columns with some sort of automatic operations. For example, like we have a gross revenue in our columns, but we would like to reduce the net revenue. So we use the gross revenue and we use some formula, and then we we come to the net revenue. That is going to be a new column which is created. So calculated column means column which is being calculated from the existing columns, and the new column will be created. That's what it is. And then restricted column is something that we have to, restrict based on the situation says us to restrict the column based on the attribute value. The restriction is going to be on the measure, but based on the attribute value. For example, I have like this. Let's say I have a country here, and then let's say I have okay. Then I have other things also. There are other things, but first of all, the country, how the restricted column works is, restricted column is the new column. So obviously you are actually targeting to bring another column. And here I want the same restriction, I want the same revenue, but actually I want revenue of USA. So what happens is here in the country I restrict, because here I have USA, I have, and I have Germany, I have let's say UK, I have, so on and so forth. But for the revenues, you have here USA revenue, and then you have the German revenue, all this, right? But what happens in the restricted column is it will only show the USA revenue, because you are actually restricting the measure with the help of attribute. So that is what is the restricted column. Because earlier the calculated column is just the calculation between the columns, between the existing columns, or making the arithmetic expressions, bringing the arithmetic operations, bringing some functions, mathematical functions or miscellaneous functions, and then do some logic to create a new column. That is different. Here I'm talking about restricted column, which means you're actually restricting a measure with the help of attribute. By way of attribute, you're actually restricting the measure. That is what is restricted measure. Hope you understand that. And because these are the techniques that you have to actually make more, bring more values into your use, values in a way where, because you are in a situation where you have to make calculations, bring restrictions, count things, and then apply variables. This is already in the logical world right now. You are in the modeling world. So your requirement asks you to do so many things here. So these are the techniques and tools we have for us to devise our requirement. We have calculated columns, restricted columns. There's something called counter. Counter is also here. I think if I press this, you see here counter. You have new calculator the same way you have also a counter. Counter is something that it actually counts the unique number of attributes, basically. So, for example, if I have this table has countries, let's assume that the countries table has 2,000 rows. So 2,000 rows, probably we have only 10 countries, which means in this 2,000 rows, all the 10 countries are repeating. For example, USA again, Germany, UK, USA, UK, Germany. I mean, the number of countries are different from the number of rows, right? Always, because you are actually having maybe the same country in the record. So right now the the counter, what it brings is unique number of countries. This 10 is the answer from the counter actually for this particular column. It just counts the unique number of attributes that are existing in that column. So that is also required for you. For example, when you are in the requirement processing, so you might need this as well. And variables. This is something very important. The variables are, it's actually filtering mechanism. Variables are introduced here. Here, I see. Here is the variable. Create variable, creating. We'll talk about the input parameter also. So I think I have here, this one is with the variable. I take this example. So what is variable? Variable is something that it will help us to filter the data, obviously, and it is based on an attribute column values, which means for every attribute you can only have one variable. You cannot have one variable for all the attributes. So when I say attribute, it is this one, obviously, right? This is one attribute. This is one attribute. So for each attribute, you will be having a variable. The idea of variable is to filter the data during the runtime. For example, in that attribute, you want to decide which attribute to be chosen during the runtime. For example, and variable cannot be used for the calculated columns and restricted columns. So which means this is a, right now, restricted column that we have created. For this column, you cannot use the variable. Then we will see what can be used. This is the variable restriction for the moment. So there is some other way to calculate those, input, those values, filtering. We have some other mechanism called input parameter. Anyway, we will talk about it. But right now, variable is very limited, scope it has. It has to be binded with an attribute, which is a column, and it will be helpful for us during the runtime to input the value. So for example, I think the example is the best way to understand. Okay. See here, when we say variable, it's actually you create variable from here. From here, what you do is you just click here, create variable. It comes like this. I'm actually taking the create one like this, so it is like edit variable right now. So you have to give the variable name first, the same way for every thing we give the name. When you design a model or input calculated column or anything, you have to, the same way you have to give a name here, first thing. The second thing is here, it is associated with always with the attribute. This is something that you have to remember. The variable can be programmed only on top of the attribute. Here, I'm programming this variable on top of the countries column, which is the land one here. So that means I wanted to decide something on the countries column. So it is always, I wanted to filter the values inside this column. So this is, variable is something that it will pop up and the user will be choosing some value. So at the runtime, then countries, you can have a choice of taking a single country or intervals or range also. For example, that is up to us to program based on the requirement. You want only single country to be chosen while, in the runtime. So you just say single country, single value, but multiple entries. So which means every time the input is going to be a single country, but like that you can make it multiple countries one by one, like enter the US, enter the Germany. So because this is a variable, variable is something that's filtering. You are actually filtering the whole view by way of filtering the attribute, which is a country here. For example, what happens is, if you filter the country here, everything is getting filtered, right? The whole thing is getting filtered, right? Because you say you only choose US and Germany. So all rows are filtered to US and Germany. The whole view itself is filtered to US and Germany. How do you do that at runtime? You require a variable, and then you require a variable to be associated with this attribute. Now you have to decide which way, what type of filtering value you want. You want each country to be filtered step by step. Choose which country you want to filter. USA. The next one, Germany. The next one, keep on entering it. Or in a single input, we can also give, the list also. That is what he's saying. In a single value with the multiple entries, or you can say interval. You can say interval is like, it is like you are programming the variable. I think I will show you interval how it works. From and to will be their interval. And then range is something that it will not apply for this. For example, for some numbers, it will apply the range. So these are the input ways you will select. But if it is mandatory, means what happens is the user cannot move on to the next step unless he chooses this. If it is not mandatory, what happens is it's okay. You can still move on to the next step. If it is mandatory, what happens is the user has to work on this and complete this variable choosing option. Only then he could go to the next level. So in this you have the constant and expression. The default value. You can also give the default value. For example, here, all our countries I'm seeing here, because I'm trying to associate the variable to the country attribute. So here, if I say default value, which means the country default value is going to be taken this. If not, assume that he's not giving any value during the runtime. It will just take the default value. That's what is default. Or the default can be deduced by the expression also if you have a logic. But right now, for this particular example, it will not be applying. So this is what it is, the attribute. I'm sorry, this is what it is, the variable, which is associating with the attribute u right now. Variables are used as an explicit SQL filter directive for view consumers to filter the value data based on the attribute column values. This is something that you have to remember, because you cannot use variable for the measure column values. For example, let's see if this is working. I'll show you the output. You see, if I execute this analytical view, it is first asking variables and input parameters are coming here. Right now, we're only talking about variables. We will learn about input parameters shortly. So the first thing it is asking, input the country. It is saying, if I click this, it will show all the countries list. So what I said was, I said single value but multiple entries. So I'm choosing US right now. Okay, US has been taken. And again, still you have multiple entries, which means you can enter more than 1, 2, 3, 4 values you can enter. And then let's say I'm choosing Germany now. So what happens is my variable helped me to choose 2 countries. Then if I say okay, what happens here is you see the display here. Only US and Germany countries records are coming up. That means the whole view is being restricted by way of input variable. I'm sorry, variable. Do not call it input variable, just a variable, because we have something called input parameter that is going to be discussed right now shortly. So if you see this countries, land 1, you only have 2 values. By the way, I told you we have this panel called analysis, distinct values, raw data. All this for us to, conduct analysis on the view that we are working. Because we are in the analytical world. This is already dimensional world. This is dimensional modeling world. This is a dimensional object, which is a cube here right now, star schema. From the star schema, we derived a cube, which we call this as analytical view in SAP HANA modeling environment. So here, this panel is not available for the production environment. You know, we are in the development environment, right? So in the project implementation, hope you know that we'll be having, you know, development environment, and we'll be having the testing environment. Obviously, we'll be having also a production box. This is just the development and testing for you. For the production, it is going to be a direct reporting system, which will be having the reporting technology such as business objects. So here, that is the beauty of variables. You can actually filter the data using the variables, but the restriction is the variable is binded with only the attribute column. It is just one column which is attribute. If you want variable to be required with the other attribute columns, what happens is you have to make one more variable. So it is limited. And the other one is input parameter. Very important. The input parameter is something that you see, let us see where the input parameter is available. From data foundation, you see here, input parameter is available. In the star join, input parameter is available. In the semantics gain, input parameter is available, which means it is available throughout all the nodes. So what does it mean? It means it has a bigger scope. It is not binded with any column like the way how it was binded, the variable was binded. This is also same component to filter the data dynamically at the runtime. But the difference is this one is available throughout all the nodes. This one works on top of all the columns. This value is available to and from any column. This is not only filtering the values, it can do a little bit more than that. So, for example, I'll give you one scenario. Okay. Let me show another input parameter that we got. Because it is always, and this is a good topic for examinations and certifications or interviews to talk about input parameters versus variables. There is a difference. There is a huge difference. We'll have to see what it is. So right now, let's say this is an input parameter. I would like to check it as a currency choice. For example, let me give you an example from here, I think. In this view, we have a revenue, for example, and then we would be having also, let's say, the sales deduction. There is another component, for example. Assume that we have more number of measures here. Could be sales deduction, gross revenue, net revenue. All these are the measures. So assume that my filtering mechanism requires in any of these measures. While at the runtime I do not know which measure I require this filtration. And then with the help of this mechanism, with the help of this input parameter, what we do is we can get to access any of this. This can be accessed from any of these columns, unlike variable from here and then from here. This is programmed on top of all the columns. It is not restricted to one column. So that is what it is. And one more thing is, obviously it will also allow the multiple values, and it is the same way like variable in that aspect. For example, if we want to, I think let us see the difference between the variables and input parameters so that you will understand the better than little better than the just talking directly. If I talk about differences first before we see how this can be implemented, this is more better. Variables apply filters after the execution of all the nodes till the semantics, which means variables are available only on this node. It is not available here. It is not available here. On top of the result set, which is a cube here in the semantics, the output of the semantics is what? We just have set of columns, which is called cube here, which is the result of the whole analytical views here, because we started developing the analytical view right from this node, and we move on until the last node. So here only you can make a variable. But whereas the input parameter you can make in any level, that's what we have seen. Here you can make input parameter, and here in all the nodes here, and in here also. So this is one difference, which means what? We will see which means what. Variables are binded with a specific attribute, whereas input parameter is not binding with any attribute. It is available to and from any variable, any column. Here, variable is binded with only one column, which is an attribute value. And variables have the purpose of filtering the data. We have seen example just before now. In this, if you run this, the variable will be popped up and asking for the specific country that you are trying to program this variable to choose the country. That is only for filtering the data. So variable is just you are actually filtering the whole result set by way of that particular attribute. Here, for example, the countries we have chosen just about now, country US and Germany. The records which are coming from US and Germany only be taken and shown to you. All of the records are filtered. If you don't apply that, you will be having all the records with all other countries. So it is actually helping you to filter the whole data set by way of filtering that particular attribute. So variable is interpreted as var class in the SQL. That's using the SQL. Otherwise, the input parameter is something different. Input parameter can be programmed on top of all the columns. So it can access, input parameter can be accessed from any of this. That is the difference. I think you understand that. Let me run this and show you how this input parameter works. Just creation is just you say create input parameter here. In any level you can create, because it can work on top of the columns. It is not binded with any column, right? So in any level you can create input parameter. If you create in one level, it will be showing in all the nodes. That is another thing. For example, if I create input parameter here, you will actually see input parameter in the next node, the same input parameter. Even in the next node, the same input parameter. Because, like we said, it is neither binded with the nodes nor binded with the columns. It has bigger scope here for us to do. You can do the value will be traveling actually across the nodes, across the columns. We can just pick it up the value inside the view to perform any logic. So if you run this, you will actually see. You see here, I have two things here right now. The variable is there, and then input parameter. The variable always, the symbol is like this, the input parameter, this is the symbol SAP gave. So variable, we have already seen it. For example, it will ask you to, it is binded with the country column right now, and then the country has these number of countries. All these are the country codes we have. So we did not give it as a mandate. We don't have to choose also here. But if you choose, you can choose single value, multiple entry, which means one by one you can take it. That is what is variable helping us to filter the whole result set. On the other hand, currency choice is an input parameter, what happens is here, it is also like a choice you have. This choice is given by me while I develop the input parameter here. For example, I'll show you. The same way with the variable you have in the name, here also input parameter you have the name. And then you decide here, input parameter is what kind of, you have options like the direct value or the column or derived from the table, static list, anything. For example, I've taken the static list, which means it will have the list of the values from which you will be choosing upon. So this is a mandatory or not. Again, you can push it if it's a mandatory, the same way like variable. The user cannot move on to the next step unless he he chooses something here. You say not mandatory, it's the same thing. And then you always have a default value if your logic requires the default value. And here, this is where we work on the static list here. In the static list, I was trying to say something like currency value. This, I'm associating this input parameter for the currency. So what we do here is we have to give the currency names, USD, Euro, INR, how many other currencies you want. That means what you're trying to do is you're trying to give options to the user to choose one currency, but unlike variable, this currency can be used across the view in any column. That is the difference here. So, of course, this type has to be mentioned here because this is what type it is, what data type you have to mention here, because this is something that you are introducing. So when you run it, what happens is here, you will be given the same choice here. Now, the question is, once I choose this, I actually take this input parameter inside my logic and work on the other things, the other columns that I want to show this currency. For example, wherever the currency is involved in my view, for example, the gross revenue, you require a currency, which is a currency. The net revenue is a currency. The sales deduction, all these are currency. For the country column, if I have, that is not a currency now. It is just an attribute. For the measures, wherever the currency is required in the measures, that places all the currencies changed accordingly with the help of input variable that you make here. Because this input parameter is not binded with any of the column, it can go to the required column and work upon. For example, if what we did is here in one of the calculated column, let's say we use this particular input parameter. Do you see? There is a way where actually you can just choose the input parameter. That means when you program the calculated columns, we will talk about this currency conversion separately, but please try to understand just the input parameter concept. I think it's the same way like variable, but it has a bigger scope. It is completely different from the variable. So in all of these columns, you can use this input parameter. It is available. In every node it is available, and it is available for all the columns. So what happens is, by way of considering this input parameter, you can bring the changes. That is what it is here. So the currency, required currency, which is taken from the user, can be applied to any of the column here. But whereas input parameter, no. Input variable, variable is just binded with one attribute. It cannot be programmed on several attributes. For every attribute you require one variable. So these are the things we have. Those who are having a little bit doubts, probably we should be jumping into the project right now to do all this. But it's just, we should be probably in the next class, we should actually get into the project and implement this project. I need all of you to have the server access simultaneously when we do the project. So that's what we have inside the analytical view. Let me just list this out. We learned about analytical view. Inside we learned about calculated columns. And we learned about
restricted columns.
Yes, restricted columns. And we learned about counters. We learned about variables. We learned about input parameters, right?
Yes.
These are the techniques and weapons you have inside the analytical view to bring more logical data, to actually conclude some more things towards your business requirement. So you would be using quite often all this. You would be doing n number of calculated columns, some of the restricted columns you require, counters, of course variables and input parameters to filter the data based on the scope they have. Variable is different from the input parameter, all that we have seen. So let me just show you the how the COPA project looks, because it is better that we start the project rather than me talking more like this on anyway. Let me also show how the calculation view works, and then we can jump onto the project, because project will have attribute views, analytical views, also the calculation views. Basically our project, what we do is we try to take some of the tables from the SAP, because it is like this. This is actually COPA, which is SAP CO is the functional module, the main module, and then COP is the sub-module. So in general, the COPA will be like this. We have the ERP system like this, and then we have RDBMS like this. SAP ECC we call it, which is in particular CO here. And then you have the sub-module is here, the COPA. Yeah. And now this is what it is. This is how your COPA looks like. We have reporting also on top of this. So now, before HANA comes into the picture, in the last 5 years ago only HANA came into the market. Before that, even now, most of the ECC, SAP ERP works on the underlying database. Is not necessary that it is HANA, right? Mostly it is SQL Server or Oracle. Mostly these are the operating systems. I'm sorry, these are the RDBMSs used in the SAP ERP. But actually, it is limited. The speed of this, the whole system is limited by the RDBMS, underlying RDBMS. So what we do is, COPA means, we try to actually bring this into HANA. They call it sidecar approach. You heard this? There's something called sidecar approach, which means like this. There's going to be HANA also here, where you will actually bring the data. This is the data migration you do. And then you have the reporting here. So the whole thing is connected such a way that this whole thing, you can actually decide here whether you would like to report from this traditional database system or from the SAP HANA. Here, let's say we move some of the tables. Those tables which are, very huge, which are having more number of records, and those tables which are having more number of calculations and other arithmetic expressions and more number of financial business parameters, and then it might be taking more amount of time here. Usually here, the report takes sometimes 60 minutes or even more, 3 hours also. But here, the report, we just do it in, let's say, 2 seconds, just few seconds only. That's why we use this. So what we do is, the first step, we do the data migration. I still have to show this, which means we have to bring the required table into the HANA box, and then second, we do data modeling. And third is obviously reporting. We do the same thing in this project also. So in this, these are the tables that my requirement is working out. That I'm going to bring all these tables from CO, from this module, from here. So this table, from here, I'm going to bring these tables. So the table names are like this. If you are familiar with the SAP tables, it's okay. If not, we just have to learn. The table names are MARA, which is actually the general material name, general material table it has. If you are not familiar with the table names, it is very easy. You can just go to the Google here, and then just type, you'll get everything. SAP table MARA, That's it. All you have to do is this. And then you will get to know about the table. You see, you just take this, the first link. But anyway, you already have the information. But if you go inside, you will get to know about the table. Just a little bit what table it is. It is a general store. It used to store all the general material data information. And basically it is from the R3 system again. Because you should know a little bit about SAP ecosystem. We have R2, R3, SAP, like this we have it. SAP ecosystem is like this for you to say. First it came R2, and then it was the R3, and then you have ERP, and then right now you have S4 HANA, Yeah. Like this, right? So these are the 4 generation ecosystems of SAP. Yeah, it is better that you Google a little bit about this, also try to know about it, how the SAP systems evolve. So it was introduced here. Most of the tables still we use are the tables that were introduced in the R3 system. So I mean, you can read like this. Otherwise, I have this file for you. So if you do not want depth of it, if you just want a little bit of it, it is there here, description. So the MAKT is actually description of this. This one is the main data, but the further data you have description here. So which means the description can be in different languages. So that means based on the language you choose, for example, that particular material description will be in that language here. So you can filter and take whichever the language description you want in your views. And then KNU1 is something that customer master data. This is the customer master data. And then T005U is the taxes. All you have to remember is this, just taxes. And is T005T is used for country names. and then TSPAT is used organizational sales division. See, first of all, what am I doing? The first thing is, what I'm trying to do here is, what is COPA? What am I doing? What am I doing is, I'm actually trying to conduct cost and profitability analysis. So in that, what I try to do is, I try to basically, work on the actual values versus the projected values.
Hello, sir.
Yes, sir.
Sir, one thing I have, can you move on back screen? So you what the sequence you call R2, R3, then ERP, then S4 HANA, because what I think that on which scenario you write the S4 HANA SAP, because S4 is HANA is basically for the just upgrade version for SAP FICO S4 HANA. So in this scenario you write that R2, R3, ERP and S4 HANA. So what you want to interpret by by this way?
Okay. I'm coming, sir. I should say 90s because I'm not sure here exact date. So 90s, I should say. This one also where I say 2000s. And here, this is the SAP ERP ecosystem, sir. What happened is when SAP came into the market during the 1970s, the architecture of the SAP, ERP systems are based on the two levels. We used to have, mainframe systems those days. You remember? So
Yes.
from there we evolved to, the three-layer architecture, like database layer, application layer, and user interface layer. This was the long time it was ruling it. And then after that, the ecosystem changed into ERP. We have NetWeaver components, and then we have business warehouse, other technologies, and then ERP changed into ERP. In the same way, in the same ecosystem, the latest is ECC right now. Right now is in ECC, but ecosystem means, what I mean is the whole architecture of the ERP system. So right now, in the last year, in 2015, they've introduced S4 HANA, which means the whole ERP is going to be based on the HANA. So they wanted to make it by HANA as an underlying database. Otherwise, still, if you're not going for S4 HANA, you can still choose the underlying database as any other SAP certified underlying database, which is Oracle or SQL Server, DB2 and all that. But on the other hand, if you are choosing this S4 HANA, you do not have a choice. This is binded with the HANA database. This is going to get all the advantages that HANA is getting it. So which means HANA is nothing but OLTP plus OLAP we learned, right? So what happens is OLTP plus OLAP we learned that HANA can be. And then HANA has other capabilities like in-memory, and highly compressed, massively parallel. There are so many advantages. So you do not need the number of tables that you require in those ecosystem also. Right now in S4 HANA, the number of tables are reduced. For example, we have like Kamran Ali, Simple Finance Expert. But earlier, if you see FICO, probably you'll be having so many tables. in ECC FICO, but whereas S4 HANA FICO, you only have a few tables. So they optimize everything because this is the new generation. S4 means simple 4th generation HANA based SAP ecosystem. That's what it is, sir. What I mean is that okay? That is how the evolution happened, sir, in SAP.
Okay, sir.
So right now, Kamran Ali is the simple finance expert here because you have simple logistics, simple.
No, sir, not expert.
Are you simple? Yeah, I mean, you are a simple finance, let's say, consultant. Because still, one more thing I want to tell you is, you do not have all the modules also here still, because only 2015 they have released this, and then still one by one they are trying to come up with it. Right now you have simple finance, simple logistics, only few modules. It takes time for them to come up. They have a roadmap up to 2020, and then they would be coming up with all the. It's not easy because the whole architecture of the system is being changed right now. Especially the T codes are being changed. And then the number of tables are being changed, everything. I mean, that's why they call it is a 4th generation ecosystem. See, from one generation to other generation, there are a lot of changes in the architecture, like the way how you see here. Here, it's no longer three tier, it is just a 2-tier here because the application layer itself is inside the database itself. So there's nothing called data intensive logic and application based business logic or at two different layers. No, it's not like that in HANA. Because in HANA box, we have something called Access Engine, which I'll be showing you this also. Access, which is nothing but a lightweight application server. So what happens is, the database layer itself contains the application layer inside. It is just one layer. There is nothing called application layer and database layer. The logic and the values are, traveling back and forth. You are wasting time in the earlier technologies. Those things are eliminated in HANA. All is inside. The whole data intensive logic and application business logic are brought down into the same place here. So that is the advantage of S4 HANA. So right now the market is trending in S4 HANA. That is the reason. That is what my meaning is.
Sir, as for example, after having the certification in S4 HANA, so a simple finance, so how it will to be said that S4 HANA simple finance, right?
Exactly, because S4 HANA simple finance.
Yeah,
exactly,
because
sir.
It means if we say that S4 HANA, so it doesn't mean that S4 HANA simple finance, right?
No, it doesn't mean, sir. You have to say, because you can just say S4 HANA, but the next question immediately, which module? Then that question has to be answered. It is simple finance.
Okay, so it's mean that S4 HANA does not means that someone has done, for example, SAP ECC6 FICO. S4 HANA doesn't mean this one. We have to tell S4 HANA simple finance, right?
SAP, yeah, exactly. If you are saying SAP ECC 6.0 FICO, you are here. You're still not in the S4 HANA. You're
Yes,
still
sir.
doing with the earlier versions. Yeah, exactly, sir. But if you say S4 HANA, then immediately they will ask you, are you a finance guy or a logistics guy? Which one? So then they will know if you say finance guy, oh, that means you have done the S4 HANA simple finance certification.
Okay.
Like that, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Yeah. So before I was talking about what? Yeah, cost and profitability analysis. For that, I guess I have to show you a little bit about the COPA basics, I guess. Let me show you the COPA basics. Understand? I put where? Yeah, here. See, what I'm trying to do is here, for example, how the cost and profitability analysis works is, let's assume this is a simple example in the manufacturing industries. Of course, this is much more difficult and then much more parameters you have. But just to illustrate what we are doing in this project is, if there is a price of something, some item like a T-shirt, and then you have a revenue of, if you want to target to sell 10 of those items, the revenue is going to be $100. The revenue is called something that the whole. So I want you to be familiar with these numbers. That's why I gave this example. So because we will be using revenue, we'll be using all these so many other parameters like this. So if you are a finance guy, for example, Kamran already will be knowing all this, but maybe non-finance guys might not be knowing what is gross revenue, what is sales deduction, what is net revenue, need not be knowing that. So you might have to learn a little bit. That's why it is always, in SAP, it is always, we say the functional consultant and we say technical consultant and we say techno-functional, Always they'll be like this. Right now you are moving to a little bit functional. SAP HANA is just a technical, okay? But sometimes in the projects, you're required to work along with the functional consultants. Right now, the function what we are talking about is a financier. So you should be working with the financial consultant in your project. Only then you will be knowing all the financial parameters. And slowly, going forward, if you do 2-3 implementations in finance functional domain, what happens is you become techno-functional in finance. Techno-functional has more value in SAP. More because this not easy to get techno-functionals. You have functionals or you have technicals. Combined, very less people you have because those are experienced in both. So I think you understand what is functional and what is technical. Technical is something that you deal with, SAP software technology related things. For example, database is a technology. So database related things, modeling, data warehousing is a technical. ABAP is a technical. SAP HANA is a technical. And then modeling, reporting, all these are the technical. You're not talking about any business function. So the moment you say, I'm talking about sales, I'm talking about finance, I'm talking about material manufacturing or something, that is functional. So that domain is obviously different. You need expertise in that domain. So, but the projects sometimes exist. You being a technical guy, you might have to work with the functional. So the fact that this is a finance project, you will have to learn a little bit finance, business parameters, or we have to ask Kamran or somebody who knows. Even I only worked in one finance implementation, so I know also a little bit, not so much, but I know some of the financial business parameters. So the example, what I'm trying to illustrate here is just to give a feel of how the financial business parameters looks like. I have a target of selling 10 T-shirts. My price for the T-shirt is here, $10. So the revenue is going to be $100. The material is going to be $1 for me to spend to make this every T-shirt. Production is going to be, let's say, $1. Marketing is going to be $1. Traveling charges is going to be 50 cents. Sales cost is going to be, let's say, $2, so on and so forth. You have a labor cost, you have a variance, you have a miscellaneous cost, and all this put together is, let's say, coming to $75 for 10 products. The revenue is going to be the 100 minus 25. That means you have so many other parameters also. You have contribution margin 1, which is net sales minus variable cost. You have contribution margin 2. You have contribution margin 3. And then you have a profit before the tax. You have a net profit. All these are the business parameters of the financial functional module. Sometimes you have to learn this if you want to master this function also. So we'll be dealing with all this because this COPA, I have this material information and I have the description. Of course, I'll be having financial terms such as gross revenue, sales revenue, net revenue, sales deduction, all this. So my aim is to actually find out this, the actual values of those versus the projected values, which means the companies, what they do is, for example, right now the company is sitting at financial year 2017, okay. For 2018, what they do is they target the business, isn't it? they try to make some targets, sales targets, manufacturing targets, marketing targets, all. But after, once the company, comes to the 2018 results, there's something called the actual values, and then they look back. They try to see where they were standing. Where are we standing by looking at actuals versus the projected? Because the projected values are done a year ago, and then by the time they reach the actuals, they'll have to, conduct analysis to find out where they are standing. You got it? So for this, we use this COPA. These days, all the companies use COPA, by the way. So what we do is, we try to take these tables, and then we try to see how we can do this project.
Excuse me, sir.
Please.
Sir, the thing is, basically purpose of COPA is profitability analysis, right? That comes the difference between your cost center and profit center, right? So we do the revenue analysis over here, while the actual versus plan, as you are looking for actual cost versus your plan cost, that's come under the cost area and product costing. Am I right?
Yeah, correct. You are right. Correct, sir. So we do a little bit forward, and we go a little bit forward and try to do, and also usually this is the only function, or this is the only function. Try to do that. What we do is we want both actually. Yeah. So we want to connect an analysis, because only then you will see the power of SAP HANA here.
Yeah.
You have a huge data sets here, and then you have so many types of materials, so many countries, so many customers, and the combinations and the permutations and combinations are huge. You will see actually while you're doing the project, you will actually be enjoying the project, the way how it can bring the results to you.
Okay.
So this is what is so far.
Sir, as we have the project, you are signing us the profitability analysis. So can we have the project on the project costing? Because this that scenario will also be is more fruitful if we have one scenario for product costing and one for profitability analysis. Is it possible?
I'm not sure, sir. I have to look at. This is something that I've already, worked out. It is possible. Probably I have to work out again.
Okay.
This. Yeah. We will discuss on that also. Obviously, it is. I can also think on that.
Okay.
So, but this will give, this will give the, enough mileage for you to see how the process works. And this, what we do is basically, it is not easy. If you look at, imagine if the country is, if the company is big and it deals with the number of countries, and then obviously, which means you have the number of regions, and then if the company has so many products, so many of customer base, so what happens is in the financial domain, you have so many business parameters such as revenue, cost of sales, and then sales deduction, so on and so forth. So you have to build an interaction between these two. So the permutations and combinations are more here, you see. You have here n number of things, you have here m number of things. So it's not easy unless you have, the proper established and sophisticated system like SAP HANA. It takes time, of course. It is easy. People were doing even before. But when you ask, when you want to deduce something really critical from this, by looking at all the millions of records, sometimes billions of records, what happens is the processing time is more. The report, the result set, it is going to take time when you run a report.
Sir,
So
this report is highly utilized for top management as well as for shareholders. So this is highly important report.
Exactly. Like Kamran said, this is for the top management and all that. So we basically build an interaction between, these two. Interaction between the characteristics versus the measures, the value fields. So that's the interaction we have to build actually. So which means from here to here, anywhere, from any of this place to any of this place. We need to build an interaction, and that interaction, the two you have to make it. One is the actual interaction, the other one is the projected interaction. And then these two interactions will be clubbing together, sandwiching together to actually conduct analysis. That is something that we do.
Sir, it's also give the financial and strategic risk.
Yes, correct. Correct. I think you know it better, sir. You are a financial consultant.
No, sir,
Right.
I do not know. But basically, the thing is, for the end user activities, I worked, and also I am teaching since 3, 4, 5 years the end user activities. So I explain to my students all the information reports which generate from the information system related to the profitability report, cost center report, and COPA reports, and internal order reports. So I know what are on the basis of theoretical knowledge, but what are you talking about, the technical prospects and making the financial model? That's I do not know, but I know theoretical concept which you are explaining now.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll be talking to this, sir, this project, and let us just see the tables which are involved, because I want you to be familiar with the tables. But I'm not going to start this project. We'll be starting off a couple of days. But why I'm trying to say a little bit about it, you get a little bit familiar about this, so that you try to involve more in the project. You try to understand what are these tables, read a little bit about it if you don't know, and then you try to establish a logic with it. Basically, I have the CE1 is actual data I have, is the transactional data which is getting from the transactional systems. The companies have already have this. There's something that CE2 is a planned data. So when they plan it a year ago, they must be handling this data that is in the form of CE2. So I want these two, and I want all other tables also. For example, I want TSPA, which is organizational sales divisions. So I wanted to bring divisions in my sales items also with the help of TSPA. And then I wanted to, of course, these TSPAT and TSPA are the same. One is the description, and the other one is the actual one. For this division, you will have a description here, the TSPAT. And then this taxes, you will have a country names here, because the tax is associated with the country, So, and then you have the general material information here, the same one here, MAKT is the description of that. And then the customer basis in the KNA one. So we're actually dealing with all this. We're actually dealing with customers. We're actually dealing with the products. We're actually dealing with the country, states, and of course we're actually dealing with the revenue, profit, cost of sales, sales deduction, and so on and so forth. So the interaction is going to be between them. So that's all for now. I'll be starting on this, about this project after I finish the calculation view also, because until now we have only finished rather explanation and showing you how it works. Is attribute use, we understand. We know attribute use, and then we also know the analytical views. And we would like to know right now calculation views also. After this, I can start the COPA. So that in the COPA you will get to know that how to create it. But make sure that you have the system access availability at that time. Otherwise, again, I would be doing, and still you may not find time to redo it again. It's better that you try to find access, system access. I'll talk to the organizers anyway. So let me talk about a little bit about architecture, how the system architecture works right now. I'm just keeping this on hold, this particular modeling for the moment. We will get into this modeling after we see the architecture. Or I can finish the calculation view also. Which one you want? This about something that currency conversion and all this you'll be getting inside the project. That's why I'm not talking about it. I can just jump onto the calculation view. Okay. You want break or should I continue?
Sir, break please.
Yeah. After that, you decide whether we should talk about the calculation view or the architecture. Yeah, please take a break, probably 5 minutes or something. But I'm here, okay?
I have a question, sir. Whatever slides you make here in the for the session,
Yes.
can you email that to us? Because
This slide.
the
Okay.
PowerPoint thing, but whatever you make.
These are the slides.
Yes. What you
These are
do.
the slides that I put it in the.
Okay.
I'm sorry again, please repeat.
The one
Please
that you make that the in the paintbrush. What you may what
the
you
second.
yes. Not these ones. These one we have. You make some. You do some notes. You make your own in the class. They are this type of these documents. So,
Oh, just now I showed you that one. You mean?
yes. I know you
This one you
make
mean?
more of them. Not these ones. These are all there in the you send the notes. These are all there in that.
Yes, correct. Everything I kept it there.
But the one that you make manually during the sessions, I'm talking about.
Oh, you mean this? Yeah, this particular PPT. I try to show something, pictures and all that. This one you're talking about.
Yes. So today we did not do much in that, but I mean I know that 2 or 3 sessions we did a lot.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I'm actually dynamically. I just do it and delete this. You still want this?
No, that's okay. It's this one is nothing. So
Yeah.
this is something that you if you can email it to us.
Okay. You
What?
mean I should save this and put this to you every class? I didn't get you. Please help me to
Yes,
understand.
that's what I think. Whatever you do manually, if you can email it to us after the class.
Okay, this is the one. But actually, this is recorded in this. But you still want like a file.
Yeah,
Okay. I will
actually
try to save
now
that.
they're sending the recording. Yeah, I got all the recordings. So that's okay.
Right. That's what I.
You don't worry about that. I got the
But
yesterday's.
actually, you have all these things in my
Yes.
material URL that I gave you. All these are
Yes,
more than what
I saw them.
I try to cover. You have, for example, just to say he was talking about S4 HANA. We will not talk about this, but I put one simple slide here, to understand for you about S4 HANA. You can see this slide. You clearly understand what is S4 HANA,
Mm-hmm.
Some of the necessary things I worked and put it here. If you have the time, you just go through all of this after the class. I mean, right now, maybe you may not be having the time. But once we finish the class, go through all of the slides. Some of them, even I don't cover some of them slides.
I know that I'm going through serially. Some of them you
PDF.
cover in the class, some of them you just leave them, but I went all through them.
Correct, because we cannot cover all of this.
Yes.
And then you also have PDFs also from the SAP company. Yes. That is also very important if you have time, because they are big, maybe 600 pages or 800 pages PDFs. So you will have to choose the topic and go accordingly, topic-wise on the index. Those are also something that which can help you, yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Yeah, actually that was too much, so that I went to that online SAP HANA tutorials. It is, some of the things are very good. They explain that very good there, so I read something from there also.
Correct, yes. I mean, this is enough. You don't have to go for extra material. All you have to do is you just need a server access and just get to this materials and, just understand and get a little hands-on from the server access. And that's
Yes,
it,
I
think,
do
at the
want to
moment.
server, but I don't know how to start in there. So I'm just waiting for you to start the project so that we can start simultaneously. I can start simultaneously with you.
Mm-hmm.
But I was just doing some R&D on that server.
Yeah, you first of all, you try to create schemas and then tables. If you want, I'll just show you how to create tables today. Those things you can do, but more than creation of the tables, in HANA, we try to bring tables from the other systems. So
Okay.
I'll have to show you a topic like business objects, data services will help me to show you how I bring tables from the other systems, such as ECC system. For example, right now we're talking about the COPA. Those tables also we have to bring from the ECC.
Okay. So
Yeah.
I have a question. Like, I have this um, SAP FICO on my system. Okay. So I did some work there. So I
Oh,
would try to.
you understand all these business parameters then. You know all this.
Yes. So I did SAP FICO course from somewhere, and I had this FI certification. I still have to get the CO certification.
Okay.
So I mean,
Okay,
with the
that's
work,
nice.
it's very difficult to get study. I mean, for that I have to study. So
So I think you can become techno-functional SAP consultant then going forward,
yes. So
which will be
I
very nice.
did a little like a project in this FICO 3-month project, but
Oh,
after that there is not much work here in New Jersey. So
right.
I tried to get some other certification, this HANA and BIBW, because that is very much in demand here in New Jersey.
Right. Hmm.
If I get like one full-time job of SAP consultant, then I don't have to work at 7 days. Like I work on 3 jobs, so I don't have to work on 3 jobs. Then I can just
Correct. Yeah.
pick up
I
one
think
job.
you can target for SAP HANA technical consultant or SAP HANA techno-functional with finance. I think two varieties you can focus right now since you have the finance knowledge also.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why, but when you learn, you will learn this migration, modeling and reporting, everything. But when you get a job, it'll be
Mm-hmm.
only on one thing. You'll not be doing all these things.
Yes.
You'll
So
be either doing the data integration or data migration or data modeling or data reporting. Just one specific thing you will do. But since we don't know which thing you will be getting into, you have to learn all of this. You have to learn a little bit of modeling, migration, everything you have to learn here. And then
yes.
I think once you know the requirement job description, you can
Mm-hmm.
focus more on of that type of job. Exactly
Yes.
something that, yeah, after this course, probably in one, I think just 1 month is enough after this course. By the time you want to, organize yourself for the jobs.
Yes. So after completing this course, I would like to get my certification first, because it happened I
Oh,
did
you want to
this
get it?
FICO, and I learned this SAP FICO like a long back when I was in India before I got married. While I was working, I'm a chartered accountant also. So after completing
Oh,
my
you are a finance woman. Okay, that means I don't have to talk finance with you. I understand. So
so
you are expert in finance. That means obviously, yeah.
so when I was working there in Bombay, I learned this SAP FICO. But that was a long time. Then I came to US and I started working with my husband and for his
Right.
business. So after his death, I mean, I had nothing to do. I mean, I needed work, so I brushed up my knowledge and I did a course on FICO, and I got FI certification.
That'll
Then I started
that'll
working.
be that'll be really
I'm sorry.
so that'll be really helpful to you. The PICO certificate also will be helpful to you going forward once you have HANA.
Yes, so that's I mean that's what I then I work with a consultant. He looks for the job for me. So
Mm.
this then I got in touch with Velosoft, the one there these consultant. So they said that they are going to help me with the job if I do with this course. So I said okay. It's a little
Yes,
hectic
yes.
for me because I work all day long and then in the night I have to do this. But
Yeah.
if it pays me back, I would be happy to do that.
No, sure. It'll. Now I see you. Now I can see that you can be a techno-functional because you have a functional knowledge. Finance, you are a financial expert basically before even IT comes into your career. So that is something that which will be very useful for you. I think it is better that you can project yourself as a techno-functional where you have to project yourself that you have done the financial implementations using SAP HANA. So that is something that it can help. Something related to this COPA kind of projects, you'll be getting into finance related projects, I think. Yeah, that'll be good. That has a good scope. Because not many engineers are techno-functional, They just say either functional or technical. Yeah.
Okay. Yes.
So
Good
I think you have
technical. And
a
thanks for that. Because I don't even know what I should try for. Now you told me thanks for that technical.
No, you should try for techno-functional. You should be very clear. Your technical expertise is HANA. Your functional expertise is finance. So, which means all finance-related SAP HANA projects, you can really get into that in no time because you have that knowledge after this, course. You have the HANA knowledge. Probably you'll be having HANA certificate. You have the finance knowledge. You also have the finance certificate. And then techno-functional are highly paid than the technical and functional,
Okay.
If you get a techno-functional job, yeah, that will be really awesome. Yeah.
Okay, good. Thank you very much for that information.
Yeah. So can we start? Hi, Kamran, Alvis, are you there? You back? I think he's not yet.
Yes, not. I think Asma left.
Asma left for the day.
His phone is off, sir.
Yeah, maybe
Phone is off.
it's night.
Oh, phone is off.
Yeah. So you are on your citizen or H1 green card maybe, yeah.
No, I'm a U.S. citizen.
U.S. citizen. Okay, that's nice. Okay.
Sir, can you hear me?
Now I can hear you, sir. You are back. That's what we are waiting for you, sir.
No, sir, I am here. I was listening your conversation with Arun. I do not recall her name, Aruna. Well, sir, what is the requirement for techno consultant on academic?
No, what I'm trying to say is, sir, usually in the industry, SAP industry, you have always like this, sir. They call you have a functional consultant, you have technical consultant, and you have a techno-functional also. Techno-functional requirement is you need to be expert in one of the functional aspects, such as the sales, manufacturing, or finance, or anything. All these are the functional domains, isn't it? So techno-functional is something that you should be a technical also. In technical means you should be an ABAP programmer or BW developer or a HANA developer or any technical things or database, third-party certified databases which were using in the SAP ERP systems. So any technical domain, technical knowledge, as well as the functional knowledge also. If you have implementation knowledge, implementation experience in both of this, then it is highly paid jobs you have. You can call yourself as a techno-functional. You are both. So your technicalities are, yeah.
Sir, for example, if we are doing SAP HANA in financial modeling, will it be the part of techno consultant or technical consultant?
No, techno-functional, if that means. That means you should be knowing. It is not that you do it, it is not enough. You have to have a financial backing. For example, you have it, and Aruna has it because you guys are from the CA background, which is financial experts. Then you know all the financial terms, you know how finance works. So the fact that you are CA experts, you are already functional in finance.
Yeah.
Functional, you are finance experts.
Okay.
And then now what you have to do is, you have to just strengthen your technical skills.
Right.
Which is right now is SAP HANA.
Okay.
And then And then the next step is the projects which actually focuses these two combined one. You have finance projects on HANA.
Okay.
If you involve in this, at least 1 or 2 implementations.
Right.
All you need is 1 or 2 implementations. After that, you become techno-functional. That's it. You are highly paid.
Sir, in my case, as I am a FICO consultant and S4 HANA, so if I do SAP HANA financial modeling, so will I become the part of techno consultant?
For that, the requirement is like this, sir. Like I said, how many immediate question is they ask you how many implementations you have done as a techno-functional.
Okay.
So your
Right.
answer should be 1 or 2. Then you become yes. If not, you first have to do that.
Okay.
The thing is that if I look for a job, they all ask for that you should have at least 2-3 implementations. So it is very difficult to get the job without any experience there. Even if I go to my consultant, he says that we have to put at least 5-year experience, otherwise you won't get a job. So I told my consultant, I'm just doing this course. I just started this course. I mean, I don't have any practical knowledge. How can I put 5-year experience? So he said that without that you won't get the job.
No, that's actually like this. Which one is first? See, the problem is, I know it is a tough situation. For that, I'm sorry to say this. Sometimes you have to, what you have to do is, I don't know if I can say that or not. You have to cook a little bit on your, profile, saying that you have to really put yourself into a learning mode and learn completely, and then tell yourself that you have done 1 implementation, or if not 2 implementations. So you have to make yourself thorough in that implementation. You have to sit down with some expertise, some expert, some consultant who are working in that particular technology, be it functional or technical, and get to that implementation. So the moment you get 1 or 2 implementations, that is the beginning,
So that's what I told him. I told him, you get me a job, don't pay me for that job. I'll work voluntarily for 1 implementation, let me learn something, and then you can put 3 implementations there.
Yeah, I know. So
Uh,
Aruna, who is your consultant?
Huh? I've worked with this, there is a consultant in Texas. So I work with them, and then I work with, actually I work with 3 consultants.
Mm-hmm.
So whoever gets me the job, gets me the job. There is one, I did 1 course from Zarentech, so they are also my consultant. And there is 1 more consultant, they are in Texas, and they stay Developers.
try to get, you are right now, I understand that you have the functional knowledge, functional expertise. Of course, you are a functional expert itself. And then you try to get 1 implementation. Remember, you and Kamran, and 1 implementation, finance related implementation, finance related project, implemented using SAP HANA. You have to do this first. That's it. After that, your career will change like anything. I mean, you become a techno-functional after that, because if you do 1, based on the knowledge, you can climb 2 or 3 implementations. When you become techno-functional, which are highly paid, So you have to do
I
this.
told them I will work voluntarily. Let me work for 1 project. So okay, so Kaman, you wanted to know the consultant, my other consultant, they are Silicon Giant.
No, one more thing is, they might give you non-finance related project implementation. Do not take it because you have the functional expertise in the finance. I know it is not easy to get directly finance related project implementation planned for you. So they might put you in some other sales related or manufacturing related, but they say you are a SAP HANA consultant, why don't you take up? Then you still become only the technical consultant. You cannot become techno-functional unless you do this. That's what I mean.
I told them specifically get me into a finance related project because that is my expertise and I would like to work on that.
Exactly.
So it doesn't matter if I have to.
Exactly. You will be ahead of.
I'm sorry.
Exactly. You will be ahead of all your colleagues if you can do that. If you can do that, it's a little bit tough actually. Try to focus on that, Aruna. I think that's the best choice you have.
So that's what I said. Okay, I said okay. If they don't want to pay me, don't let the. I'm okay to work voluntarily for my first project. All I want to. All I want is to learn something. I want to go there and learn something. That will be my classroom. And after that, once I learned that, I mean, after that you can put 3 implementations, but without any uh, practical knowledge. Please don't put 3 implementations because I'm not comfortable with that.
Okay. No, actually, sometimes they'll give you training also. They'll try to say what implementations they were, and they'll try to give a couple of hours training on those implementations for you to be. I don't know. I mean, you know it better. You're in America, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The market there, the financial. I mean, the consultants prepare you based on the job profile.
Yes, so they check. I mean, what is your expertise? Their technical department calls and take the technical interview. How good you are in that field. Based on that, they try for the job. If they take the interview, then they try for the job. So they ask. It is good thing that they ask what is your expertise, which particular topic you are expert. Will try for that job only.
Okay. Yes. Okay. Fine. And let me just go back to our
Mm-hmm.
slides and try to.
I'm sorry, I
Let me
wasted a
just,
lot of
before I
time.
finish the calculation. No, that's okay. That's important. That's important. I can still talk. That's okay. That's important for you to know and for me to also. It's my pleasure. That's okay.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, sure. And then I think we were seeing the basics of HANA also before we got into the, the modeling, the HANA strengths. I think we spoke about HANA is massively parallel, and then HANA is in memory. HANA is highly compressed, and HANA is also having all these things. Let me just see what we have to. HANA also has the difference between this bottleneck, IO bottleneck. It will overcome IO bottleneck, and then we spoke about row-oriented and column-oriented. I think all these we spoke about it. Let me see if there's anything I missed it, so that I wanted to cover on the other side also. Of course, we have the compression is easy in column-based tables. Do you agree that the compression is more effective and easy in column-based tables?
Mm-hmm.
You agree,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Okay, that's fine if you agree. That's something that, and you have the difference is mainly the row-based versus column-based. Do you remember?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So I think you don't need this also. This is something that you require right now. The modeling only done on the column tables. We know that, and the create column table is nothing but create table. It's the same because the default is column table here in HANA. Even though you can also create the row-based table, but by default it is a column-based table. And any time you can alter the table by using the alter table. You can also do that alter table also by using the alter table. And you can also see the we have also seen the system schemas. We have user-defined schemas, system-defined schemas, and we also have SLT-defined schemas. So here, administrative tables in column store, and some of the statistics tables, some of the administrative tables also in row store. So the only row store tables you find here is administrative tables, some of them, not all of them also. But normally the users which we create mostly are the column tables. What I'm trying to say is do not create row-based table unless you are forced by the project situation or the project manager or anybody else. So by default, we only deal with the column-based tables here. HANA assumes that. That's why it gave the default option also as a column-based. By default, without thinking anything, we just think that we are only dealing with the column-based tables here because we are in the analytics world where you wanted to make the system ready to conduct analysis on the tables, on the views, and most of the projects are analysis-based projects, by the way, in SAP HANA. Yeah, that is something that, and then now this concept you have to learn. There is something called delta. Let me explain you. Right now, let's say everything I am making column-based. Now I have a trouble. For example, column-based table is optimized for the, optimized for what? Optimized for the read, and analysis, isn't it? But what if I have to insert something? What if I have to write on top of it? So I'm losing the, write intensiveness capabilities right in HANA. So they don't want to miss anything, which means if I have a column-oriented table, for me, it is very difficult to write, isn't it? You agree with me? Because the writing is like this now. You have it. Let's say the table is like this. So in the column-based table, what happens is, if my table is like this, in the memory, it will be like this, right? 147,258, and then 369. Now, let's say if I have to bring some row here, yeah, if I have to bring some row here, I'm just putting in a different manner so that it can be visible. This is writing. I'm trying to write on this because mostly I assume in HANA the writing is very rare. Obviously, this is an analytical world. We try to do more data warehouse projects than the database projects, of course, but HANA is a database itself. At any time, it should be having optimization for the writing process also, isn't it? Because if I have to insert this, internally what I have to do is, I have to, change this between 1 and 4. Yeah, so I have to move, exactly. So I have to bring this X here, so which means it's not easy. And then I have to bring Y here.
Y after 3Z.
You have to move. Yeah, you have to move actually. So that is something that's not easy. If I have the same, on the other hand, if I have the row base, it is just simply like this, right?
Yes.
So in here, to bring the XYZ, it is simply I just have to bring here, isn't it?
Yes. Yes.
I just put XYZ here, enough. So it's more easy for me if it is a row based. So I'm missing the advantages that I have in the row based table in terms of creating, in terms of getting into writing onto the table. You agree with me, right?
Yes.
So now SAP HANA, what they did was, since they made everything by default is a column oriented table, and they suggest and they recommend is a column table unless you have very different situation in the project. So they brought some concept called delta concept to deal with this particular situation, so that the writing in the column table becomes easy. That's the target right now. The target is they wanted to find a mechanism which will help us to write easily, effectively, in the column table itself. That is something that delta advantage, we call it actually in here. How do we do is, we do like this. We try to create something called delta. The main is always there. The main is compressed and read optimized because it is a column oriented. But the delta is something that you create another space which is optimized for the write operations, you know. So that means you are not actually writing here. You're not writing in this table. What you're trying to do is you're actually taking this and then putting in something called delta. This one is going to go and sit on the delta. This is the delta. We'll see how it will handle. This one is called main. So now you got it. The main is actually, the main is compressed and read optimized, obviously, because this is the column oriented. Column oriented, we know that the compression is easy and can be compressed with less effort more effectively. Right now,
So there's a lot of static in the
delta
wall.
is something that it is only write optimized. I'm putting here another block which is a write optimized here, the separate block.
Okay.
Okay. Right now.
I don't know what
Okay
something.
now or?
Yes, there's a lot of static in the voice.
I think somebody put some audio outside, I think, because today is Republic Day, right, in India.
Yes.
So many things are going outside. Maybe we're getting disturbance of that. Yeah, they are doing the flag hosting and all that nearby my house. There is a park and people gathering and all that. I'm sorry on that. There is a disturbance
No,
for
that's
me.
okay. You cannot stop that, so that is okay. But your voice is breaking. Like, I don't know why today it's happening. It was
My voice is breaking. Just a minute, just a minute. I will change my ISP and again do that. Just a minute, just hang on. Let me change my ISP.
Thank you.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yes.
It's better, right?
Yes.
अबे मैं इस पे क्लास ले रहा था कैसे नीचे से? Hello?
Yes, Kamran.
Voice has discontinued, Aruna?
So I think that this, sir, he's doing something. He's gonna come back.
Can you help me out as
What?
you are looking for the projects? So
Mhm.
can you?
Yes, Kamran. What happened?
Sure.
Mhm. You were saying something, Kamran?
Sorry?
You were saying something?
Yeah, I told it that as you are looking for the project,
Mhm.
as you told that you are looking for the project, having conversation with the consultant. So
Mhm.
if you find someone, then let me know too.
Oh, yeah, sure. Okay. So what exactly you are looking for? Which field?
Basically, I am SAP FICO certified consultant along with the S4 HANA.
If that is very much in demand here in US.
Yeah.
I know. So you are there on H1 work permit?
No, currently I am on T1. TN, sorry.
Mhm. Okay. The thing is that now they have make it so complicated. The H1, it's all lottery system, and
Mm-hmm.
you need H1. So I will check my consultant if
Mm-hmm.
he, because if you want to get a job here, this is the right time because H1
Okay.
applications are filed on April 1st, so that
Okay.
you can make some arrangement with them and your H1 can be filed.
No,
That's what.
basically I have the work visa, TN visa, because I
Okay.
am Canadian citizen.
Okay, so you have the work visa here. So that is even, that's good. So, okay, I check with my consultants and uh, I will, eh, whatever is your, if they have any job openings, I will give your, forward your information to them. So if you can send me your, email me your phone number, so I will
Mm-hmm.
give them your name and phone number. They will directly contact you.
Sure, thank you.
You're welcome.